As we've been reporting, a group of House Democrats is working hard, we're told, on a piece of legislation to abolish ICE. With tonight's panel to talk about that, Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and the Washington Examiner's White House correspondent Gabby Morrongiello. Great to have both of you with us.
Good to be here.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what this is. Mark Pocan, who is a Democratic congressman from Wisconsin, is the one proposing this Abolish ICE bill. Here is his explanation.
Well, unfortunately, the president's created this situation where ICE isn't doing what it was created to do. It's being used as his own personal police force, and in those actions, it's actually making us less safe because the critical functions of ICE can no longer happen when the president's got them going after people in churches and workplaces. Right. It's just been made a mess.
Gabby?
I mean, I think Republicans obviously are not going to be going along with this, but they're probably not going to do much to stop it either, because I think a lot of them right now feel as though this is actually beneficial to them. Abolishing ICE, which is the agency primarily in charge of vetting people who come in and out of this country, is so far outside of where the average American stands on immigration and immigration reform that they feel as though this is an opportunity for Democrats to sort of self-implode, that they're going to be forcing, the less progressive members of their conference to get behind legislation that would or potentially could backfire come November during the midterms. There was a poll out this morning that showed that 43% of Democrats support abolishing ICE versus 54% of all voters who oppose it, including 54% of independents. And these are the voters that Democrats are going to need to deliver that blue wave that they've promised in November.
Okay, so from a White House release talking about this idea, they say abolishing ICE would mean open borders because it would eliminate the agency responsible for removing people who enter or remain in our country illegally, including drug offenders, gang members, and child molesters, rapists, and other sex offenders. Calls to abolish ICE are an insult to our heroic law enforcement officers who make sacrifices every day to secure our borders, enforce our laws, and protect our safety and security. Leslie.
I don't think Democrats are right on this. I mean, I'm a Democrat, and I don't think this is the way to go. The majority of Americans don't want to abolish ICE, but the majority of Americans, left or right, are not happy with an executive order that the president gave, which had ICE not just enforcing laws that were on the books, but it went further. And of course, we know what it did with families and children that are still separated. That's the way to go, I think, for Democrats, because that's an area where they could have their blue wave, not just from within their own party, and have unity. I think a lot of people are looking what happened in York and saying we need to go far left. Castro was saying abolish ICE, and that worked for her. That's not going to work for the party. It's not going to work for Americans and for people that are on the edge, that maybe don't like Trump or maybe upset with the Republican Party and establishment, and it hasn't gone the way that they've liked. Come the midterms, this is not, I don't feel it should be the headline for the Democratic Party and the agenda. I don't think it's going to get people out, and I think it's actually giving the president and Republicans some fire to counter with. Whereas if you stick to what the Democrats were highlighting earlier, the separation of children from their families and the poor policies and the need for reformation of ICE, and to have ICE not abolish, but to have it return to the way it was at its inception, I think that's a winner.
All right, quickly to get you both to answer. A number of senators, Democratic senators, when asked point blank, do you think you should abolish ICE? They've been very careful about their language, but there are clearly some elements in the House that want to see this happen. Is it a bit of a split in the party? Will they get on the office?
I think it is a split, and that's exactly why I don't want to see a repeat of the Bernie Hillary days for me in the midterms or in the next general election. I think it's dangerous that Democrats will split on this issue. We're seeing that right now with legislators.
And quickly, Gabby?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Democrats also see it as sort of this nonsensical solution. It's one thing to gut this entire agency, look at some of the areas that have been more controversial. It's another thing to sort of symbolically replace it with another agency. I mean, what does that accomplish? And I think that's what Republicans are going to say. That's already why we're hearing them conflate this with Democrats wanting open borders, and that can hurt Democrats going into the midterms.
We will